It feels like the deck is stacked against you before you even start your business. What's the difference between someone who fails and someone who succeeds? To succeed, you need an edge. You might invent technology that nobody else can imagine. Maybe you make the perfect product with the perfect fit. But what every successful business has is a bank that is there for them. Instead of saying slow down, a bank that asks, what's next? Renaissance Bank, understanding you.
That's home. That's just like the Ravens. That's just like Pahokee, Florida. That's my second home. I got my degree from there, my first degree, college degree. It's part of my heart, it's part of my soul, it's part of my spirit. And, you know, it's everything. Itawamba Community College, baby, it's everything. It shaped me up to being a great man because it was part of the journey of me becoming the young man I am today. And it's home, man. That's it. Like, I can go there and lay my head down without no problems. Itawamba Community College, the best start here.
The ICC Hour here on Super Talk Mississippi 101.9 FM. As always, the ICC Hour is being presented to you by our friends over at Renaissance Bank. Now, it is SEC football season, and you know Renaissance Bank is proud to sponsor the SEC shorts that you see every weekend. You can visit renaissancernation.com to see those. Man, Vandy has to be loving those things right now as they have been king of the crop when it comes to the SEC shorts. But enough about that. Let's talk a little MACCC as we welcome in Commissioner Steve Martin to the conversation. And Commissioner Martin, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Adam.
Well, Commissioner Martin, let's get to know you. Of course, Commissioner of the MACCC. See, I always feel like I put too many C's in there. But tell everybody about yourself and a little bit of your background.
Okay, I'll try to make it a short story about myself. Okay. Well, I'm originally from New Orleans. I actually grew up in New Orleans. As a youngster in New Orleans, I was very fortunate. I was a fairly decent basketball player. So I played basketball in high school, went to St. Augustine High School in New Orleans. Actually, St. Augustine has a long history of, I'm going to say, academic achievements as well as athletics. St. Augustine was, before I got there, they were known for football. Had a lot of great football teams, a lot of great football players that went to St. Augustine. When I came, we started to turn the corner in basketball. So we had some very good basketball teams. Needless to say, I was fortunate. I was offered a scholarship to attend Georgetown University, but I was recruited by a lot of universities around the country. I chose Georgetown because of the legendary Hall of Fame coach John Thompson.
Yes.
John Thompson, he was a exceptional and incredible person. Even before I knew him as a coach, I got to know him as a person. One thing he had on his desk, Adam, when I visited Georgetown, was a deflated basketball. So I asked him the question, what was the purpose of the deflated basketball? So what he said is, you have to know, understand, or have a sense of what you're going to do when the air goes out of the basketball. Okay. Yeah. which really meant for most of us, we weren't going to go on and play professionally. So we really need to have a plan. And that plan really started with him academically. Just to really, go back just a little bit more. When I was being recruited by Georgetown, I made my campus visit. The first place Coach Thompson took me on campus was the library.
There you go.
And he said, Steve, he said, you really should plan to spend most of your time here in the library. He said, if you don't belong here.
Yes.
So the next place he took me was to visit the dean of the business school because I expressed interest in accounting, business major. So I went and spent about an hour with the dean of the business school. And on all my recruiting trips, I had never been to the library, had never spent time with the dean. So that was exceptional. The thing that was really most interesting about that recruiting trip was Coach Thompson said, let's go and grab something to eat. Now, I had gone on other recruiting trips, had gone to nice restaurants and things like that. Coach Thompson took me to a hole-in-the-wall rib pit in D.C.
There you go. And now, us guys being from the South, we know those are the best places to eat.
Those are the best. So we go into the rib pit, and he said, well, let me order. And this place is small. It may be 20 by 20 with one table. So he orders, and we go sit in his car with 2 greasy bags of ribs. And he's talking, and he said, Steve, I've heard a lot about you. Would love for you to come to Georgetown. He said, but if you come, he said, I can't promise that you're going to play 1 minute of basketball for me. He said, but if you come, and if you do what you're supposed to do, you will walk out of here with a degree. And that was so impressive to me because I had never heard that from any coach. Especially telling me I may not play 1 minute of basketball.
Usually that's not a good selling point.
Right, exactly. And I thought about it, and when I got back in New Orleans, and my mother came to pick me up from the airport, the first thing I told her was, I'm going to Georgetown, because Coach Thompson impressed upon me those types of things, and it didn't have to do just with basketball, for the most part. So I went on to Georgetown. I played 4 years at Georgetown. I was the captain of the team my senior year. I started 3 of the 4 years at Georgetown. I did get an accounting degree, believe it or not. And after I graduated, I actually worked about 3 years at one of the major accounting firms in D.C. But what was quite interesting is I was working in D.C., and then I decided to move back to New Orleans. And then when I moved back to New Orleans, one of the things that I did is I established a summer basketball league, because we did not have a lot of basketball activities in New Orleans, especially in the summertime. So the basketball league I established for both high school and college players. It just so happened that one day, a guy by the name of Cecil Watkins, who was the NBA's supervisor of officials, stopped in at our summer league. The guy said, hey, I really like what you guys are doing down here in New Orleans. And Cecil's role at that point, he would visit all these little summer leagues around the country, and they would be looking for officials. They use these summer leagues kind of as a training ground. So about 2 weeks later, Cecil called me, and he asked me if I'd be interested in coming to work for the NBA in New York. Which was interesting. Now, initially, I actually said no, because I was in accounting, did not necessarily know if I wanted to live in New York, et cetera. But I called a friend of mine that I went to Georgetown with, who was a New Yorker, lived in New York, and I asked him his opinion. And I said, what do you think about this job, and if I move to New York? So his advice to me was, Steve, you can always go back to accounting.
That's true.
So that really started my career in athletics, working at the NBA. And I worked at the NBA for about 14 years, and in a number of capacities. When I first started working, I did work with programming. I established all of these summer leagues with the referee training portion for the NBA. And then over the years, I moved into marketing, community relations, and in my last 3 or 4 years, I did a lot of international business development. And I will say this, one of my best friends who recently passed away, Dikembe Mutombo, I had an opportunity to travel with Dikembe all over the world, and we really started that Basketball Without Borders and NBA Cares in Africa. So we developed that. Now, I got tired of travel, was traveling a lot, so I decided I wanted to really kind of stay closer to home. My son at that point was about 4, maybe 5 years old. There was an opportunity at Dillard University as the athletic director, so I took that opportunity, moved back to New Orleans, served as the athletic director for about 2 years. And then then what happened next, the Hornets at that time moved to New Orleans. And because of my relationship that I had with the NBA over the years, the owner, George Shin at the time, he called me and offered me a position with the Hornets, which I took. And I think I worked there for 10 years through Hurricane Katrina and everything else. And then, something quite interesting came about. The role as commissioner with the GCAC. I had worked at the NBA office for a long time, and and really saw a lot what David Stern did as a commissioner. So in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be a commissioner.
Right.
So this opportunity came up. As a commissioner of the GCAC, I applied for the position. I interviewed, had a number of interviews, and it worked out that they did hire me as their commissioner, and I served in that role for 3, maybe 4 years. And then, for some strange reason, this role in Mississippi came up, and it was not something that I was looking for at that particular point in time. But kind of the strangest thing, when I saw it, the first person that I called was John Thompson. So I say, Big John. I called him Big John. I say, what do you think about this position? Because I stayed in contact with him. We talked a lot, and I was always able to bounce things off of him. So obviously, he, recruiting all over the country for the most part, had a really good sense about, athletics in Mississippi. So he gave me some insights, and he said, Steve, could be a good opportunity. Right. He says, Mississippi, from the standpoint of community colleges, really has a good community college system. But also, and he really did know my nature. My nature really is, what can I do really to help young people? Right. And he really said, hey, this could be an opportunity for you to really expand on how do you help young people. Okay, so I said, well, let me pursue it and see how it unfolds. So I pursued it, and here I am today, Al.
As they say, the rest is history,
yes.
if you will. We're talking with Commissioner Steve Martin here on the ICC Hour, and Commissioner Martin, we're pressed up against the break real quick. You got time to stick around a little bit longer?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Commissioner Martin here on the ICC Hour.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled it over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
that's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renaissance Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renaissance Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renaissance Rewards Extra. They say Diet Coke is a mom's drink. Well, you copied her jeans, her spin, her shoes, her scrunchie, and whether you realize it or not, her music. Now, copy her drink. Drink what your mama gave you.
Hey, honey, could you help me with this? Today tastes like staying in. And it never tasted this good.
Hey, what are those?
Little Caesar's Crazy Puffs. Everyone's getting them.
Yeah, kiddo. Everyone but you.
Everyone but you.
Everyone but you.
Everyone but you, kiddo.
Everyone but you.
Everyone
Ah!
Come on, kiddo. Order Crazy Puffs for $3.99 and get your game day delivered with Little Caesars.
Pizza.
When injury knocks you out, Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi will be there for you every step of the way. We are here to get you back in the game, back in motion, back to your life. Our elite team of orthopedic specialists will work side by side with you, educating you about your treatment plan, utilizing advanced technology, and providing you with a successful path to recovery. Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi. We will get you back.
That's home. That's just like the Ravens. That's just like Pahokee, Florida. That's my second home. I got my degree from there, my first degree, college degree. It's part of my heart, it's part of my soul, it's part of my spirit. And, it's everything. Itawamba Community College, baby, it's everything. It shaped me up to being a great man because it was part of the journey of me becoming the young man I am today. And it's home, man. That's it. Like, I can go there and lay my head down without no problems. Itawamba Community College, the best star here.
And again, welcome back to the ICC Hour being presented by Renaissance Bank. We do appreciate everyone taking your time out of your Tuesday afternoon to join us for the show. And I also want to remind you folks that this show is also being brought to you by Tupelo Coca-Cola Bottling Works. Now, if you're like me, you like a nice ice-cold Coca-Cola, well, sometimes that sugar gets a little bit too much on you. And so I had, for a little while, cut my Cokes out, but then they come out with zero sugar version of Coke, and I tell you, folks, it's outstanding. So if you're looking trying to get a little bit more healthy like me, I do encourage you to try Coca-Cola Zero Sugar there at a local store near you. So we're going to continue our conversation here with Commissioner Martin. Commissioner Martin, again, thank you for taking time out of your day. Now, we took the road to how you became commissioner here in the MACCCC. So just talk about this league. It's a very unique league. We've got 15 schools. Not all participate in football, but we've got a variety of sports, and everybody calls it the little SEC. So just from your point of view, just kind of give us your thoughts on the league.
I tell you, first, when we look at big picture, we are known as the little SEC, okay? And it's not just football. We are so well established and so competitive nationally when you look at our sports across the board, football, basketball, baseball, softball, you name it. And that was one of the things that attracted me, to this position, because we are competitive nationally. Our schools, when we look at our athletic facilities and our campuses, when I tell people in New Orleans and around Louisiana about our facilities, they're always amazed, and I actually try to get a lot of them to come and visit us. And that's a big plus for our conference. But from the standpoint of we are competitive nationally, so competitive. When you look at football, I think as of yesterday, I think we had 4 or 5 teams, schools ranked nationally in football. Soccer, on the men's side, I think 3 or 4, on the women's side, 5 or 6. So we are extremely, extremely competitive, in sports. Now, do we still have things that we need to do? Absolutely. So my role as commissioner is not necessarily to look at the competitive nature of what we're doing nationally, but really look at how we're doing operationally. Okay. Look at, how our schools are doing. I mean, anything, even the small things, everything from security, do we have proper security at our games? I spend time looking at our live streams. What does our live streams look like? So all of those things, collectively, what's our branding, our image, what are individual schools doing? So all those things collectively really builds the big picture, so to speak. And it's a good picture. It really is. There's always going to be work to do, but when you look at it, again, take a step back and look at it. It's actually pretty good, and I will always brag outside of the state of Mississippi about our facilities, the level of competitiveness, the commitment of our presidents, the commitments of our coaches, and it's really about not just athletic excellence, but also academic excellence, and that's what's so important, because our student athletes, they're looking to move on to 4-year schools. And a lot of them, do move on and still continue to play athletics. But the role of community colleges, and I think we do it exceptionally well, is to prepare those athletes for the next level, not just competitively, but also in the classroom. And I think our schools, they really do it exceptionally well. When I talk to people around the country, and just to hear them talk about our kids moving on, our kids and the competitive nature of them, that really makes me feel good. So those are things that, big picture-wise, that we continue to try to work on.
And you kind of touched on it there, and this is one thing I always talk with Dr. Allen when he's on the show is, yes, we want every student there is possible to come to ICC. We don't want anybody else to go anywhere else. But when the presidents do get together, yes, we want every student to come to each individual, but at the end of the day, they do work together for the greater good of our system as community colleges here in the state.
Right. And that's a great point, Adam. Our presidents, and I do have the pleasure of, on a monthly basis, sitting in meetings with them, and not just to hear them talk about athletics, but really talk about the big picture of education in community colleges, not just in Mississippi, but the state of community colleges around the country. And I got to tell you, when they collectively get on board with an issue, it's incredible to watch them work and to watch the will and the force of our presidents. So they really do come together for the good of community colleges in Mississippi. Now, every now and then, I bring something to the table, and I may feel sorry that I brought it.
yes.
But as commissioner, you have to bring ideas, thoughts, creativities. And sometimes it doesn't work out because sometimes, from a perspective of presidents and coaches, they may see things differently.
Right.
But it's my role to, bring the big picture. One thing that we having discussions about is like NILs, okay?
Yes.
And because those are the things that we got to discuss because they're going to affect us, and they are affecting us right now. So it's good. And I'll tell you, the presidents are so good, not just on athletics, but they are really good. They do pay attention to athletics, and they really assist me in helping me do my job better.
Yep. And one thing you talked about, you may bring an idea. This president may bring an idea. It may get shot down, but it may create a new idea.
Right.
So that's just the beauty of everybody working together.
Right. Yeah. And look, and as you know, I may bring 10 ideas, and we may only get agreement on one of them. But but the things that I've worked on from day one is to how do we incorporate our coaches, our SIDs into the process, into the decision making process. So it's not just the ADs are going to make a decision, for the coaches, and that's going to be it. Well, we really have worked hard at our structure and organization where the coaches, the ADs, everybody meets, recommendations are made. They're made to the athletic directors. Athletic directors, they study, evaluate it, and then they'll make a recommendation to the president. So that includes everybody in the process, and I think that has really helped us to get ourselves a little better, well organized, and we could do business a little better.
And speaking on our front, I know we also have a meeting every month on the SIDs. Now, probably not as tame as the one with the presidents when you get somebody like me and Kevin in a room together. But I will say this, and Kevin and I were talking about this the other day, we do see progress in us all. Now, we've all worked together well, but when it comes to getting on that same page, trying to get stats where everybody's kind of equal on that page, things like that, there have been some positive steps forward. So just, and you feel free, even though I am one of the SIDs, just talk about that SID crew.
Well, let me tell you, the SID crew, and I was making a comment to a couple of people after our last call. That last call that we had, in my opinion, I thought it was the best call that we had.
I agree.
Because the purpose of the call is as a group, to come together, talk about challenges, how do we resolve them, how do we get better? And a group really came together, I thought, really well. And a group challenged, they challenged me to get some things done, and they should, So it's not just me, taking lead in a meeting. That group, you guys put together the agenda, you put together items that you really feel are important. Sometimes I'll throw something in there. But those things are good, because I always say that the SIDs, you guys are you control the information in and out,
Yes.
and you can really make a difference with our branding and our perception. And I think across the board we have done that well, and we're doing it better. I mean, even a discussion on if we have a co-champion, how that should be presented, to the public. Those are good conversations, because now we're talking about how we build our brand consistent, as opposed to one school doing it this way, another school doing it that way.
Correct.
So the group is coming together well, and I've tried to encourage all of the groups, individual coaches, groups, to really put hard issues on the table. Because we can all live comfortably, sugarcoating everything.
Yes.
But the challenge and how we get better is when we talk about difficult situations and difficult topics. And that's what I try to push all the groups to do. Talk about the tough things that we need to get through so we can get better.
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out to Don Hammock, the SID down at Gulf Coast. He's the one that kind of organizes all of our madness for those meetings as well. So you kind of touched on it there for a second. This is going to be a hot button topic for years to come now is the NIL. Now, of course, we're seeing it at the big leagues and the D1 level. Everything tends to trickle down in time, but this is something not trickling. It's pouring down into the community college ranks. Your thoughts on the NIL?
Well, so first, you're right. It's pouring down because we're kind of sandwiched in between the high schools because there are high school kids that are getting NIL deals, okay, and obviously the bigger schools that that are getting deals. Now, from my perspective, I do think that student athletes, they deserve to have some level of compensation. Everybody else gets compensated. Coaches, bigger universities, the athletic departments are making, they're making money. The networks are making money, etc. I did not expect NILs to take off the way that's taken off.
I don't know that anybody,
right? Where we have student athletes that are making millions of dollars from the NIL deals. I really didn't expect it to go to those extremes. I didn't expect the NIL collectives to develop and start to really get so involved in in these deals with these student athletes. Unfortunately, from my perspective, I think, as they say, the genie is out of the bottle. Okay. Yes. And it is having a ripple effect on athletics across the board. Everything from when you look at, the 4-year football powers. Now they're talking about it's going to be, a 32-team school conference. So there's a mega conference that they're discussing. When you look at the NCAA eliminating letters of intent, when you look at the NCAA eliminating academic requirements, I mean, those things are really, really huge, and it is a trickle-down effect. Now, where does it catch up with community colleges? It's going to catch up with us in terms of will we be able to attract the level of student athletes that we've been able to attract in the past?
Right.
Okay. Because now if a student athlete does not have to have, a 2.0 grade point average in order to get into a 4-year school, obviously they're going to pass us up, go to a 4-year school. So I do think we're going to lose some quality of athletes as this thing takes more and more effect. We just have to continue to show that we are a good stopping place for student athletes, both to help them mature, get them a little better, and help to prepare them for the most part. That's the role that we have to continue to play. It's no different than the role that I don't think we have played over the years. We just have to make it more known that this is our role, this is our place amongst college athletics for the most part, and we'll do a good job at it.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you hear a lot of arguments about, junior college are spending so much money on athletics, there's little to no return, blah, blah, blah. What the people don't see are these kids that, I'm not going to go to school. Oh, wait, I've got a chance to play football. So this kid goes to school for 2 years and at the same time gets an education. That's changing that kid's life. Could be redirecting a family lineage, just because they have the opportunity to continue education through athletics. So kind of expand on that.
But athletics plays kind of a dual and probably even more than dual role on college campuses. So first, you're absolutely right. It gives, young people an opportunity where they may not have had that opportunity, may not have, members in their families may not have gone to colleges. So this gives them a chance to get in, gives them a chance to start to develop, expand, et cetera. So it does have that individual effect on student athletes. But I see the role of athletics on campuses as a way to engage the entire student population.
Correct.
So like last night, I'm at the volleyball game. It had a great crowd at the volleyball game. There some parents, some students, etc. Well, that is a student activity on your campus that now brings students together. And I think that's very positive for students to come together, get to know each other, cheer for their team, etc. And I've seen, I got to tell you, volleyball has been incredible because I've gone to a lot of volleyball games, and to see the crowds and interaction at those volleyball games, I'm telling you, it's totally blown me out of the water for the most part. So yeah, we serve a dual purpose of helping to educate those young student athletes, bringing them in, giving them an opportunity, but it does become an activity for on our campuses. And also it touches alumni. So it touches a lot of different people when we do athletics, I think, the right way.
Well, we're talking with Commissioner Steve Martin. We're up against another break. Got one more segment in you?
Yeah, I got it.
Awesome. We'll come back with more of the ICC Hour right after this.
It feels like the deck is stacked against you before you even start your business. What's the difference between someone who fails and someone who succeeds? To succeed, you need an edge. You might invent technology that nobody else can imagine. Maybe you make the perfect product with the perfect fit. But what every successful business has is a bank that is there for them. Instead of saying slow down, a bank that asks, what's next? Renaissance Bank, understanding you.
Welcome to the pasta party!
1, 2, 3.
Making new traditions.
Now let's go and keep going, keep going.
Sharing old stories. Homemade pasta. Enjoy, cheers to us! We did it! And a nice cold Coke.
Okay, ready? 1, 2.
That's my recipe for magic.
Wowza! The three-meat treat from Little Caesars with delicious bacon, Italian sausage, and pepperoni. For only $8.99, it's also the lowest price in three-meat pizzas. What's your favorite part about it, Professor Amon-Ra?
Meat plus meat plus meat.
Wow, Professor Amon-Ra, you're a great mathematician.
Mathematician, more like meatmatician.
Oh, my bad. Order the three-meat treat for $8.99 and get your game day delivered with Little Caesars.
Pizza.
When injury knocks you out, Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi will be there for you every step of the way. We are here to get you back in the game, back in motion, back to your life. Our elite team of orthopedic specialists will work side by side with you, educating you about your treatment plan, utilizing advanced technology, and providing you with a successful path to recovery. Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi. We will get you back.
Guaranty Bank, formerly known as First American National Bank, is a proud supporter of ICC athletics. Visit gbtonline.com. Guaranty Bank. We're more than a bank, we're a community.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
That's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renaissance Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renaissance Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renaissance Rewards Extra.
And welcome back to the ICC Hour here on Super Talk Mississippi 101.9 FM. As always, the ICC Hour is being brought to you by our friends over at Renaissance Bank. You can find out what's next, by visiting renaissancebank.com. We're going to continue our conversation here with Commissioner Steve Martin, the commissioner of the MACCCC. See, I'm old school. I'm used to the MA. Matter of fact, I still got you in my phone as Commissioner MACJC. So it took a little while to get used to. But Commissioner Martin, again, I thank you for taking time out of your day. I know we were going to talk about the future of the league going forward, but I do want to bring this up. So you're touring ICC. So you do that at each school when you get the opportunity.
Correct.
Why is that important for you as the commissioner?
Well, it's important for a number of reasons. First, it's important because we have a lot of people that's connected to athletics that work really hard. Coaches, ADs, SIDs, etc. I just like to show them my appreciation for what they do, even if I just get to talk to them, for 2 minutes.
Right.
It's just my way of showing that level of appreciation. And then second, it's good for me to really see things that athletic staff, things that they do. It's easy to say, well, coach, his job to coach and, get his kids, and warm-ups and stuff like that. But when I go on campuses and, like I've been visiting a few schools and going to their basketball practice. Right. So it's good for me to see the temperament of our coaches and really how they handle and manage young people. Okay, because that will give me an opportunity to hopefully, if necessary, give some advice. Not that any coach needs my advice, right. And I wouldn't try to advise anybody on X's and O's. Okay, but it's good for me to get a little better understanding of our coaches, what they're doing, their temperament, how they're managing their teams, etc. Also, it's very good for me to get a perspective of things that folks are doing. Okay, so if I hadn't come and visit ICC, I may or may not have heard you on the radio, maybe not. I may or may not have seen you on the TV or radio last night during the games, but it gives me a perspective of, okay, here are all the things that, that Adam is doing. Here are all the things that the SIDs are doing. And it's not just, okay, I got to keep stats or, I'm just announcing the game. I mean, this is a lot of work, okay? Yes. But it gives me a perspective of that, because if I sit in my office all day, I won't get that perspective. And even if you were to tell me, and I haven't seen it, I may say, "Oh, Adam is not, he's not telling me the truth. Okay, he's not doing all that. Anyway, right? He's not doing all that." But this really gives me the perspective that really helps me when we're trying to develop things, make decisions, and things of that nature. Also, being on our campuses. That's so important, because it does give me a whole different perspective. And again, it's past sitting in the office and hearing what people are saying. It's really seeing and feeling and touching it myself. So all those things I think are necessary when I look at how I try to do my job and how I do my job better. When I have a true sense, a hands-on perspective as opposed to an office perspective.
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing I like to do myself when I get the chance is to, jump on a bus and ride. Of course, that's something we don't get it. COVID kind of changed that up a little bit for us all. Of course, I don't want to talk about that. That's a bad word these days. But, I do miss that aspect of my job, is being able to sometimes jump in and ride, get to know the coaches, get to know the players. That's my favorite. That's what I tell people. My favorite part of my job is, unfortunately, we get the kids 2 years, but all of a sudden you look down the road 10 years, they got their family, they're successful, and it feels good knowing that you played a very small part in them getting to that point in life.
Exactly, right. And even to add to that, like we have a football game tonight. So before the game will start, I will go on the field and I'll say hello to the officials, okay? Because we want them to know and understand that we appreciate the work that they're doing. Absolutely. Also. Okay, so it's all, we all got to work together. We got to show appreciation and thanks, that we're doing a good job. We're working together. We're doing, working for the better good of everything. So that's a big part of the reason why I do like to come. And it's good to be on campuses. I got to tell you, it's good to see young people interact. It was great to see those young people at the game last night. Yes. Look, and it helps me to feel younger.
Yes, that's the key to it right there. Yes, sometimes it backfires. Sometimes I'll make a reference and a student will look at me like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Never mind, you weren't around you weren't even a thought in the '80s." So we're continuing our conversation here with Commissioner Martin. And Commissioner, it's a very interesting time, not only in athletics, in the world, period. A lot of things are changing. You say at a rapid pace, but that's kind of not even accurate sometimes. So let's just talk about the future of the league. What maybe some of your visions, or maybe where do you see the league in the next 5 or 6 years?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a question that we are constantly developing and evolving with our presidents and coaches, and it's really a collective kind of thought process. with everybody. Where I see it first, kind of, I'm going to say, from as they always say, that 30,000 foot level for the most part. How do we continue to develop, more sports? Okay, because I think we're fairly solid in our major sports. Okay, but how do we continue to develop volleyball? We'll have 3 more schools on board next year. That'll bring us to 9. Can we get to maybe 12 or 13? So we do want to develop volleyball more. We do want to, and we're having the conversation now about cheer and dance. Okay, being more involved, from a conference level with cheer and dance competition, and then moving our schools into the national NJCAA cheer and dance competition. Esports is a big thing.
There's a lot of money in that.
Right, it's a huge thing. So to get more of our schools involved with esports, flag football for women. Okay, I think that's a good opportunity for us to continue to attract more female athletes to our schools. Okay, so when we look at that's the movement as it relates to individual sports, but also what I would like, just from a vision standpoint. Now, how do we continue to build our brand? How do we use our assets to generate revenues for our conference and for our individual schools? Okay, because everybody could use some extra funding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how do we collectively use our assets? Because I do think we have some great assets. Look, all of our teams are doing live streams. A lot of our teams are schools are doing radio. We got a lot of people coming to our games. Okay. Those are a lot of impressions. People seeing our products, seeing our stadium, seeing our campuses. How do we capitalize that? And I hate to use the term, how do we monetize it? Okay,
but it's a legit thing you got to look at.
Exactly. And I think we can do that collectively, efficiently, and generate some significant revenues for our conference. So that's another really big thing on the radar. That takes a little, I'm going to say, a little maneuvering and diplomacy, because everybody in our conference has a level of sponsorship. So you got them, on your broadcast, everybody's got signage in there, stadiums, gyms, etc. So how do we craft something that doesn't cause conflict,
right?
For the schools, okay? Because we don't want to cause conflict, and we don't want people to lose money or come as sponsors,
right?
Okay, so that's going to become somewhat of a delicate maneuver for the most part. But that's that's directions. Yeah. So those are directions that we that we really need to go. And then do we, post seasons? How do we make our tournaments better? How do we get more people to come to our tournaments? We have great postseason tournaments, but I'd always think we got to drive more people to those tournaments. And that's a matter of planning, obviously some funding and things like that. How do we have better live streams? Okay, how do we make that product better? So things like that. And one other thing from a short-term standpoint, and this is a football thing, is do we look at incorporating instant replay? Okay, and that's something I think that we need, especially for our playoffs. So if those things make sense to you, those kind of the big picture things that we're looking at.
Yep. And you and I are kind of on that same business mind point whenever it comes to those type things, because this radio show, our broadcast, wouldn't be possible if it weren't for those great sponsorships and partnerships that we have throughout the area. Well, Commissioner Martin, it's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking time out of your trip to talk to us this afternoon, and I always open up the floor for any final thoughts or anything.
Well, my final thoughts are fairly easy. And I will first talk about ICC because I think you guys have done a great job, with your athletic programs. I look at, the transition and the growth, your football program. Football-wise, I think you're right now tied for first place in the, in the division. So that's been a great turnaround. Your volleyball team is doing a good job. So I think, I think ICC's athletics are very, are very healthy. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. And I appreciate the support that you've given me, Adam, and your president. Good to work with them. Good to be able to bounce ideas off your president sometimes. So look, I think it's a good time for ICC athletics. I think you guys will continue to grow, and I think it'll be good.
Well, that's Commissioner Martin. I appreciate you again taking time out of your day. For those listening here on Super Talk Mississippi 101.9 FM, I do invite you to jump over to the Red Channel, letsgoicctv.com. It's sophomore day at soccer as we're hosting Southwest. Or no, excuse me, we've already played Southwest. East Central. This is recording early, but you can jump on the Red Channel and watch those matches for the remainder of the afternoon here. So for Commissioner Martin, I'm Adam Gore saying so long and have a great weekend. And as always, roll Tribe.
You're always pushing yourself. There's no time to rest. You keep moving forward. The only thing better than your last accomplishment is your next.
What's next?
What's next?
What's next?
So, Allie, what's next?
I guess we'll see.
Find a bank that's as excited about your future as you are. A bank that asks,
what's next?
Renaissance Bank, understanding you.
Here, you can be your best. The best train here. Learn here. Succeed here. Perform here. Win here. Thrive here. Itawamba Community College. The best start here.